So, you're new to Ragnarok? In this video I'm going to show you everything you need to know to survive. Hello Dodo crew and welcome back to another video on Ark Survival Ascended. Spawning on Ragnarok can be difficult, as there is no indication on how difficult the spawn zones are. Let's start in the jungle. The jungle is one of the safest areas to spawn in the early game. The only major downside is that the jungle is also one of the busiest areas on the entire map because of the blue obelisk. Even though there are mainly weaker creatures such as raptors, tracks or parrots here, it is still a pretty busy area due to the other players, especially in PvP. On PvP clusters, the blue obelisk is mainly used to up and download your character, as you always spawn near the obelisk. It's pretty common for players to camp at this location and wait for other players to spawn in when they transfer their character to Ragnarok, meaning you will die a lot spawning here. Viking's Bay is another great location if you're new and try to learn the game. I always considered Viking's Bay as safer compared to the jungle because it's still very close to the blue obelisk, but at the same time much less popular to spawn for traveling back and forth between maps. At the same time, Viking's Bay offers a few good locations to hide some storage or a workbench between rocks, especially for beginners. In general, there are few resources, creatures and players in this region, which makes it less difficult than the jungle, but at the same time protects your stuff from other players. Especially the loot crates and the Argentavis and the PT that spawn in the mountains around Viking's Bay and stray onto the beach from time to time can help you, especially at the beginning. Spawning in the highlands is a great location, as there's a good amount of resources, creatures and vegetables. With the vegetables, you can directly tame a horse, with which you can generally make good progress on this map, especially at the beginning. This area is significantly more dangerous than the other regions, as Gigas, Carchas and other carnivores roam this area. But if you know what you're doing, the highlands are the perfect spawn for your start, as very few players pass by and the redwood is right nearby. In the redwood, you will find a lot of useful creatures and can easily and safely hide your stuff from other players in the early game. The spawn points in the southwest of the map are not relevant in the early game. The only thing you will find at these spawn points is death. You start spawning in a super hot death valley in the middle of the desert where there are only rock golems and other hostile creatures. The only purpose of this spawn location is if you're already fully equipped and come from another server to tame a rock golem. Let me tell you about TBS, one of the biggest no-wipe clusters on Ark Ascended. They offer fully loaded PvP and PvE servers with auto-lootable raid bases, shiny dinos, quests, a battle pass and even an offline raid protection system to keep your base safe while you sleep on PvP. On the modding side, it's next level. Auto-sorting vaults and cryo fridges, FPS boost, dino trades without needing the DLC, and it's all developed in-house. Yep, TBS creates its own updates on top of the official ones, and the best part, it's available on all platforms with a free base kit in PvP and a starter pack in PvE if you join now. You can find all the Discord links in the description, come and check out TBS. Ragnarok is by far one of the worst maps for farming resources, and it can be difficult to find some resources. So here's an overview where you can find the most important resources. Farming element on Ragnarok is damn hard. Nunatak, the new Ice Wyvern boss, not only deals a lot of damage, but can also take a lot of damage. Luckily, most of the artifacts on Ragnarok are quite easy to get, and you only have to manage the Gamma variant. This gives you 100 element every time you complete it, which you can collect at the end of the fight in a small beacon which always spawns in the arena. How can you defeat Nunatak now? Luckily, you have a large selection of creatures to choose from on Ragnarok. It doesn't matter if you use a horde of Deinosuchus, Bison, Rex, Spino or Ferricinos. All of these creatures can defeat Nunatak on all difficulties with ease. The important thing is that you have to get a good saddle blueprint first and equip all your creatures with good saddles. Ragnarok is a huge map with many locations, creatures and possibilities. As a result, there are often multiple spots to farm resources. The vast ocean of Ragnarok offers you the opportunity to farm metal with a donkey again. Across the ocean there are countless small metal fields, but sadly there are very few really good spots to farm underwater. In this small ruin there are countless rocks that you can farm with your donkey. In addition, there are a lot of crystals, obsidian, pearls and oil that you can take with you. The single best thing to do is simply build a small base underwater with a few vacuums, farm with your donkey and then simply throw the metal into your vacuum. From your vacuum you can now take it away with either a Transi or a TP. If you don't have any vacuums and still want to farm a lot of metal, then get yourself a Carcha and an Anki and go to the mountains between the desert and the tundra. In this mountain range, you will find an enormous amount of large and small metal rocks. You can farm a stupid amount of Polymer in the new Wyvern cave in the south of the map. The aberration Polymer plants have been added to several locations on the map and can now be farmed. Unfortunately, there are far too few plants in most places to be able to farm them efficiently. In the Wyvern cave, however, there are significantly more plants than in all the other locations. You can farm these plants with your hand, a sickle or even Direbear. The easiest way is to get the Meguana from Astreas on Ragnarok, as it can easily farm Polymer and unlike the bear, it is very mobile. There is a large cave in the desert where a huge amount of aberration plants spawn, which you can simply run into with a bear. No creature spawns in this cave, nor can others build in this cave, as the cave is a non-build area. This doesn't make the other methods of farming Polymer any worse. But if you can, then you should favor this method, as you will be slot capped in just a few hits. Forget the island, extinction and aberration. I have never seen as many silica pools in one place than on Ragnarok. And you can easily farm them with an angler, without even encountering a single hostile creature. The easiest spot is the silica pool cave in Vikings Bay. You can easily find it by diving down and looking for the Viking ship. Not only will you find a treasure chest underneath the Viking ship, which may contain a lot of loot, you will also find the entrance to one of the largest silica pool spots in the entire game at the back of the Viking ship. The cave itself is a narrow tunnel with pearls laying around on all sides. The cave is unbelievably long and you're already black-weighted after just a small section. If you still have to go further, you have to be a little careful at one point, as Carchinos can spawn in this cave and can pull you off your angler. This spot is very unknown, but the spot in the northeast of the map is hands down the best spot you can currently farm with an angler on any map. The first time I came to this spot and activated my tracker ability, my game just crashed because so many icons were loaded at the same time that my game just couldn't handle it anymore. Not only are there an infinite number of pearls, they are also incredibly easy to see, while not a single wild creature spawns in this region. For real, if the spot is not taken or spammed by someone, you have to farm at this location. There is currently no other spawn in the entire game where there are so many pearls. Luckily, you don't need that many black pearls, because they really aren't that easy to farm on Ragnarok. Not that you can't find them, they're super easy to find, but there just aren't any big clusters. Under the ship in Vikings Bay, you will always find 3 to 4 black pearl patches that you can farm by hand. In addition, many crabs spawn on the Viking ship, which you can also farm for black pearls. And you can always find some smaller groups in the deep sea, which you can take with you for a few quick black pearls. You need cementing paste, on Ragnarok, beaver dams, hands down. In the center of the map is a small lake with a river running through it. Along this river, not only small but also large beaver dams spawn, which give you a stupid amount of paste. A single large beaver dam can give you up to 10 slots of paste. Sadly, there are a lot of beavers there and the lake is a bit deep in some places, which makes it hard for you to loot the beaver dams. But it is worth the effort. Just grab your Griffin or a Wyvern, fly close to the dams, grab the paste and get straight back on your creature. If you want to be a troll, just leave the wood in the dam. As long as the dam isn't destroyed, no new one will spawn, which means that if a player comes after you, he won't find paste, but only wood.
If you're a nice guy, you destroy the dams you have looted, so that players after you can get paced. It's your decision. Actually, already expected with the center, but now added with Ragnarok. The charcoal trees are back and can now be farmed. In the north of the map at the volcano, there are loads of charcoal trees that you can farm easily with a pickaxe for charcoal. Unlike normal trees, these produce charcoal, which saves you the effort of burning the wood and therefore saves you a lot of time. With a mantis and a good pickaxe, you can blackweight your mantis within a few hits. There is no special route, but it is best to look for a place at the top of the mountain where there are a lot of trees in one place, so that you can work your way from top to bottom. As mantis have only very little weight, it is best to take a vault and a rhino with you and always put the charcoal directly into the vault and carry it around with you. Chitin and Keratin are actually really easy to get on Ragnarok, and there are 3 methods that everyone can use. Especially if you already have a few good pump guns, pyromane or fur armor, you can simply go into the Ice Queen cave and use a chainsaw to farm the ice worms. There are some places where exactly 2 to 3 ice worms spawn every minute, which you can simply clear with a pump gun and then farm them with a chainsaw. In addition to small amounts of polymer and black pearls, ice worms give you a ton of hide and keratin. But in the end, you always have to defeat the Ice Queen too. Luckily, it's not that hard, and if you're well prepared, it's not a problem. Now that Carchas are also spawning on Ragnarok, it is actually very easy to farm chitin and polymer. In the cave in the south of the map, you can simply kill the 2 to 3 Carchas that spawn there every few minutes and then farm them with a chainsaw. If ice worms and Carchas are still too hard or already farmed by others, you can still farm large amounts of keratin by farming the stranded basilosaurs in the north of the map with a chainsaw. These spawn along the entire length of the beach of the highlands, giving additional oil, hide and large amounts of spoiled meat, but more on that later. Ragnarok has one farm where you can find and pick up crops such as saveroot and rucaroot. This farm is in the top right corner of the highlands and it can be found very early on. Especially in the early game, you can use the rucaroot to tame a horse directly to make really fast progress early on and then rush into the redwood. It's best to look for this wall near the lighthouse to find the vegetables. Ovis are still the best and easiest way to farm large amounts of hide on most maps. These spawn in the highlands, where you can also find them relatively easy as there are no carnivores there apart from a few gigas, and therefore the Ovis survive very easily. This means that it has never been easier to get a sheep than on Ragnarok, as sheeps with babies spawn here at literally any time and you simply have to claim the sheep. Then you get a chainsaw, level the sheep in health for the best yield, and then you simply farm all the hide you need. We're back at the ice worms and the stranded bacillus, and you can farm huge amounts of hide there. I've already talked about it, it's not just keratin that you can get in large quantities there. You can also farm hide easily with the chainsaw at these spots.
On a side note, as of I'm editing this, I'm at about 6k subs. If you could sub to help me reaching my goal of 10k subs by the end of the year, I would greatly appreciate it. Next up, we have the creature spawns. I'm only doing the most important creature spawns that are always asked for. If you want a full list, comment below and I will think about making a video. First, we have the Griffin, which is probably the most important creature on the whole map. Griffins can be found near the green orb and parts of random mountains in the center of the map. These are the regions where you can find Griffins. Currently, you can only find Griffins on Ragnarok. Later, they will also appear on Crystal Isle and Lost Island, at least. They spawn at the edge of the mountain areas in the center of the map, especially between the mountains and the jungle. It's best to search in these regions. Overall, they have quite rare spawns, but can be found quite easily, as they are still pretty easy to spot and aren't that hard to find. It is still worth to look for a high level one, because they usually have significant more stamina, and due to flyer breeding, they can be used throughout the whole wipe. If you want to know more about Griffins and how to tame them, then watch the linked video. On no other map than Ragnarok is it so easy to find Gigas and Carchas. They can be found everywhere in the highlands, in the desert and near the green orb. Both of them are very widespread creatures and used a lot by ARC players.
They mainly spawn in the highlands, and you will find at least 2 or maybe even 3 of them at the same time. I would suggest looking for them in the highlands and taming them there. There's plenty of space there to build traps, and apart from Allosaurus, there aren't many enemies. Not only are you new to Ragnarok, the Bison is new too. It spawns in the highlands and on the new Scottish islands that are spread around the central map. In total, there are 4 spawns, where a really large number of bison spawn. They spawn in the grasslands and on the highlands on the new islands around the central map, and their milk can be used to raise baby wyvern, which is kinda cool. With the addition of Ragnarok, we got 2 new creatures, the Drakeling and the Whalewin. There are 4 different forms, and each form can be found in a different location. Winter Drakelings are usually found in the snowy mountains. Spring Drakelings can be found in Vikings Bay, Summer Drakelings appear on the left side of the map, and Autumn Drakelings can be found south of the snowy mountains. The Whalewin can currently be found and tamed around the snowy mountains and can be spotted pretty easily. You can always just claim the first one, but if you want to go further, you have to tame them via knockout. Taming them is a bit of a pain, because you can't trap them properly. They always teleport out of the trap again. Fire, poison and lightning wyverns, and their eggs can be found in the wyvern trenches in the south-southwest and northeast part of the map. Especially the wyverns at the highlands border are super easy to find, especially if you start in the highlands and get a PT at the redwood border. After that, you can just fly to the trench and find your first wyvern egg. If you're looking for an ice wyvern, you have to look in the snowy area in the center of the map. In the marked area, there are a few places where the wyverns lay eggs, and that's where you have to look. The eggs are often just lying around on the ground in the nest. This means they're super easy to spot and you just have to pick them up. When you have found an egg, it is best to sit down next to the nest with your PT, wait for a moment until you have full stamina, and then take the egg and fly away as fast as you can. Under no circumstances should you use the PT special attack, as you need your stamina to get as far away from the nest as possible, so that the wyvern loses aggro. Ragnarok is currently the only map that has mini bosses, which means you don't need artifacts to fight them, and they're basically a type of world boss. But each of the bosses guards at least one or even multiple artifacts on this map, but more on that later. I will start with the easy artifacts, which you can simply grab and then slowly progress to the harder ones, which you need some preparation for. The Wyvern caverns are probably the easiest cave in the game. There is not much loot, but there is the artifact of the strong. Once you arrive at the cave, fly in a straight line through the cave until you see this arch. In this cave there are no traps, lava or anything dangerous, except some wyvern. Keep going to the back of the cave, where it seems to be a dead end. Turn right and there is a small ruin. Once you have reached the ruin, you should already hear the artifact. The artifact of the strong is located directly behind these walls. Still very easy to get, although a little bit more difficult than the Wyvern cavern. The artifact of the Devourer in the Tusu trench. As soon as you arrive at the trench, you have to swim straight down until you see this rock. It's best to use a fast swimmer like an Angler, Ichthi or a Plesio to escape the Tusus. Keep swimming until you reach the bottom and see the glowing green plant. At this point, with the right graphic settings, you should already see the artifact at the bottom of the trench glowing purple. But be careful, in this region easily 4 to 5 Tusus will spawn at the same time and want to eat you. You will need a little preparation for the medium artifacts. The caves are significantly larger than those in the easy section and have different challenges to get to the artifact. The easiest of the 3 middle caves is the jungle dungeon or the Lava Golem cave. You can easily find one of the entrances in the jungle by looking for this waterfall and then taking the entrance to the left of it. The advantage of this artifact is that you get the artifact before you have to kill the Lava Golem mini-boss. This means you can easily leave the cave with the artifact without any problems or fights. You will find the hunter's artifact in the middle of a lava lake before you enter the Lava Golem arena. This cave is filled with Araneo, Onyx and centipedes, so it makes sense to bring lesser antidote and a few extra sets of armor in addition to the cave kit with you. Getting the artifact of the pack is a little more difficult. You can find it in the ice cave or ice worm cave in the north of the map. The easiest access is the hole in the glacier of the mountain. When you're in the cave, simply look for the small waterfall and take the path behind it. All in all, the path is much easier than it looks. In the beginning, you have to go through a hole that you have to reach via a bridge. Simply take the bridge and jump over the structures on the wall into the arch and you're through this chamber. At all other crossings, simply take the most left path until you reach the chamber with a waterfall. In this chamber, take the path in the center that takes you past the waterfall. Once you have reached this large waterfall, you have already made it through the cave. Now only the Ice Worm Queen stands in your way. Once the Ice Worm Queen has been defeated, simply run to the end of the arena. There, you will see a path into the Ice Worm Queen's breeding chamber, where you can simply loot the artifact next to the dying Giga. The most difficult or most complex cave in this section is the Carnivorous Caverns. In return, you get not one, but 2 artifacts in this area, which you can simply take from the ground if you know where they are and how to find them. The cave itself has several entrances on land and underwater, but the easiest is the one in the castle ruins. There, you can simply walk into the cellar and after a short dive, you're already in the cave. The entrance that can be found in the ruins of the old castle is located around 20 and 40.4 and can be entered through the wine cellar. The artifact of the Cunning lies around surrounded by light crystals in a small room above a side passage that can only be reached with a grappling hook or a climbing pick. You can find the area quite easily by looking for the white crystals on the ceiling and then searching for a small hole in which you can see small green mushrooms. If you have trouble finding the artifact, set a waypoint at 20.3 and 46 and try to get to these coordinates in the cave. The artifact of the immune is located in a large room near the bioluminescent cavern and can be found at 23.7 and 44.6. Mark one of the exits as these are sometimes pretty hard to find. The last of the artifact caves is Life's Labyrinth, and this is the most difficult cave on the entire map. There are 4 artifacts to find in this cave, but unfortunately you can only take 3 artifacts per run with you. In this cave you can find the artifact of the Devious, Massive, Skylord and Clever. The entrance to the dungeon can be found at an old temple ruin in the north of the desert and can only be entered by players and small creatures. In the labyrinth, you will have to complete various minigames and puzzles to get to the next room. No matter which path you choose, both routes will eventually lead you to the oasis. At the far end, you will see a glowing barrier guarding the artifact of the Devious and the artifact of the Massive. To disable this barrier, you must defeat the dungeon's bosses, the Spirit Direwolf and the Spirit Wolf. If they aren't already spawned, you'll need to provoke them. Attack the Megaloceros, and the spirits will appear. Once the bosses are summoned, they'll arrive in pairs and in waves, starting at level 50, increasing by 50 levels each wave, and capping at level 250. After the final spirits fall, a message will appear. The spirits have calmed, the barrier will drop, and you'll be able to loot both artifacts. To leave the dungeon, head to the larger water gate at the back of the room. Bosses are perfect for farming loot, blueprints and weapons in Ragnarok. The first is the Ice Worm Queen. To find the Ice Queen, you have to go into the Ice Cave. The entrance is on the side of the snow mountain and you simply follow the cave to the far left. You can either fight your way down by killing all the ice worms or simply run past them. As soon as you reach the main waterfall, be ready because the boss fights starts immediately and the Ice Queen strikes pretty hard and fast. After you kill her, she will drop a lot of loot, including ascendant blueprints, amazing armor and weapons. The second boss you will find is the Lava Golem. The best way to kill this boss is with a lot of grappling hooks and a Velonosaurus. Once you have made your way down to the lava cave, which can be found in the jungle, a moderately difficult cave awaits you, but with a little skill you can easily walk through it. Once you have made your way through the cave, you can fight the boss. The lava elemental will come out of the lava lake and will start throwing molten lava rocks at you, which can pretty much one-hit you. I would recommend,
hiding somewhere with the grappling hook and then shooting at the golem from above with your Velonosaurus. Just like the Ice Queen, the Lava Golem drops a lot of amazing gear and blueprints. The third and most overlooked bosses you will find is the Spirit Direbear and the Spirit Direwolf. Once you have made your way down to the desert cave, which can be found in the desert, a super hard cave awaits you, but with a little skill and some guides, you can walk through it. This cave has a ton of puzzles and riddles you have to solve to make it through the cave. The boss fight on Ragnarok is certainly one of the harder ones. First, you need all the artifacts for the boss fight and must have beaten the Life's Labyrinth and have already killed the Lava Golem and the Ice Queen to get the artifacts. The boss fight includes fighting the new Ice Wyvern boss Nunatak. This boss is very annoying and quite strong, so if you want a full tutorial on how to beat Nunatak, comment below and I'll be sure to make a video on it. I hope you liked this video and I'm thrilled to read if this video has helped you. Hit the like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm and consider subbing to the channel. Alright, Frodo.